managed to start recording after you said that, Joe. So anyway, intro music. Woo! Second episode in a row. We're starting our streak again. Hello, good evening. Not quite live. All that bullshit. We're back. Film dudes. No longer in parentheses because, yeah, I just got tired of typing parentheses.
Really?
So, if there is another film dudes out there, please don't issue a cease and desist. Anywho, let's start off with some interesting local news I heard from my dad this morning.
Oh boy.
Not about sake, that was pre-recording. So Panasonic is going to be coming to DeSoto / Eudora because they're small enough. Sorry, people who live in DeSoto, you basically live in Eudora. Yeah, Panasonic will have a battery plant that is supposedly to do with Tesla. Yep. But anyway, just interesting because teeny tiny nowhere Kansas. Some people don't even know where Kansas is and they live in the United States. And Panasonic, you know, back in like early 2000s, you probably had a Panasonic camera, so that was fun.
Okay. I was just gonna ask. It's like, what was Panasonic again?
Yeah, I don't know if they do cameras anymore, but anyway, yep, $4 billion project coming to.
Yeah, word on the street is that they're gonna take over the old arms factory that used to be out there.
Mm-hmm. My dad was
to make ammo.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's an old military. Well. Manufacturing. It wasn't like an actual base, but my dad told me how he had some friends out there. While my dad worked on the railroad, some of his friends worked at the base for manufacturing, and so I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Oh, your dad worked on the railroad?
Mm-hmm. I can't remember if it was.
Worked on the railroad.
Oh, really? Which one?
Cimarron Valley.
Okay, I think my dad did. I don't know, probably Union Pacific, one of the big names.
Yeah.
Ooh, I should look that up though because there was some.
Santa Fe and Union Pacific are the two big ones.
Yeah, there was some history when I was with Joe at the Archway about the two railroads coming together. Yeah. I should figure out which one he did actually work on, but not that long ago.
I wouldn't accuse your dad of being that old.
No. But it's still cool to say that he worked for one of the two major ones, if I can remember which one it is. But anyway.
I can only remember.
Panasonic, with their motto, "A better life, a better world," building batteries for Tesla, owned by a crazy person who almost bought the internet's most hated software in terms of social media. So what an interesting world we live in.
He did have a pretty good SNL episode though.
Oh, did
he? Yeah, we're talking about Elon Musk for
yeah,
those who haven't pieced together yet what the hell we're talking about. But...
Well, you know, I'd just rather not mention his name.
Guys, I mean.
I'd rather just not mention his name and be like, oh, he's gonna sue us now.
He's not gonna sue us. He's autistic.
Okay. I think he has every reason to sue us now. Exhibit A, this episode.
To sue Landon. You just think crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, he is openly on the spectrum. He has confessed it. Actually, if you watch that SNL episode, he started off in his introductory speech about how he has autism.
Really?
Well,
yes.
I don't have cable,
okay.
so...
I don't watch
SNL. For slander, I would like him to talk to my lawyer, because I've heard him come out of his mouth through the television I read the lips. I heard the dialogue or the monologue. I heard it all.
Yeah,
Correct.
it'd be better. It'd be better if it was like, you remember that Brad Williams joke? How he's making fun of special needs kids, and he's like, and I can say that because I was in the Special Olympics.
Yeah, but not for the same disability.
What?
Brad Williams was in the Special Olympics for physical disabilities.
Your point being?
Does Brad Williams get a pass on the N-word?
I think he actually made a joke about that.
Of course he did.
I feel like he made a joke about that.
Well, anyway, before we stray too far into hot water here.
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole. Thank you very much.
Disney's Lightyear came out. I kind of do want to see the statistics on that, on how well it did at the box office. Wow, 47% like this movie on Google, 5.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 60% on Metacritic, and 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. Ouch. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Keke Palmer, James Brolin, Taika Waititi, and Chris Evans. What?
Wait, Waititi and Brolin were in that film?
Apparently.
Oh boy.
It is kind of a strange concept just because it's not him as a toy, so I definitely still need to watch it to figure out, like, does he become toyified, or like, what's the connection here besides just he's Buzz Lightyear?
Maybe it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this was an actual astronaut, and then they made a toy out of him, you know?
Well,
It's
I'm
like,
pretty
I don't know,
sure.
like, did they make a toy out of, like, Buzz Aldrin?
Yeah, it's probably named for Buzz Aldrin.
I have no idea.
Have to be.
So.
I'm just gonna do Buzz Lightyear history because, let's see, history.
From what I saw in the preview, it's like Mortal Kombat.
Oh no.
Where
And we know how you felt about that.
Oh no.
yeah, where they completely changed the story in order to, you know, they're pretty much taking an already developed character in our pop culture that we already know, and they're changing everything about it. Just to make, like, oh, this is a story that I came up with, and it's like fan fiction.
And we know how bad fan fiction can go, right?
Okay. Yep. So we were accurate about being named to honor Buzz Aldrin. However, according to Pixar producers, the character was provisionally named Lunar Larry, but it sounded too wacky.
You think? That's an
Oh, Lunar Larry.
That's Lunar Larry.
That actually sounds like one of those really bad, like, old-timey, you know, black and white, like, I don't know, kids shows or something.
Yeah. I mean, you can't take anything that, like, Buzz Lightyear would say in the movie seriously, because it's like, oh, Lunar Larry, ooh.
Hey kids, it's time for Woody's Roundup with Lunar Larry. I mean, that fits really with the
That's what I was
character
thinking of.
names.
That's
But
what I was thinking of.
That's kind of the point, I think, because Buzz was the very serious character when he first came out of the box. Woody was already, like, loosened up and goofy and whatever, but Buzz thought he was real when he came out of that box, so that's
Exactly.
what was...
And
yeah.
you could not really buy that if his name was Lunar Larry.
Yeah. Lunar Larry. I mean, why not just call him Looney who let him out of the box?
Yeah, that's kind of what he was acting like.
Right, I mean, yeah. why hammer home the point when it's like,
Yeah.
what was that Jameson said in class one time? She's like, stating the subtext or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Man.
I thought maybe like, no, I thought maybe like there had been like, back when Buzz Aldrin was a thing, that they had actually named a toy after him or something. Maybe that's why, but
Yep,
I
that's
don't know.
that's the history of it.
No, if we're gonna talk about like, yeah, just skip the new Buzz Lightyear movie. Just go back and watch the actual good Buzz Lightyear movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's completely fully developed character. And then it's like, oh, we're gonna make him not a toy, and we're gonna give him this entire, like, background that really doesn't apply to anything because it was initially in an advertisement that, was for a toy. And then they're turning it into a real person with a real life and a real backstory, and it's like he's already developed as a toy. Let's leave it at that. I mean, it'd be like me. Well, I guess they did it with trolls too. I was gonna use troll dolls, but
Oh, I thought you were
they didn't
going somewhere
have
else with trolls.
No, the toys. Toys.
I mean, it's like Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
how could I, if our lives was a show, and it had something to do with the late '80s, early '90s when they came out with Stretch Armstrong, and there was a commercial, and then the movie was about like Stretch Armstrong and a bunch of other toys, and then all of a sudden they make a movie 20, 30 years later about an actual Stretch Armstrong man that existed at some point.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm still kind of waiting for any official information on a Toy Story 5, just because.
No.
Well,
It's not going to happen.
Here's the thing. After I watched Toy Story 4, which I'll backtrack to that in a second, I looked it up and was like, is there going to be a Toy Story 5? Tom Hanks, I believe, specifically said he's done, but of course, Tim Allen was like, yeah, sure, why not? Because I'm not casting anything these days.
Hey, you leave him alone.
But
you leave him alone.
But yeah, so there's potential talks, but nothing for sure yet. And to get back to my thoughts on Toy Story 4, it is probably my least favorite one. It's very well rendered, so from a technical standpoint, yes, I'm gonna be like, well, that grass looks really cool, and it did. I was very much like focused on the grass in the movie.
Grass, man.
Yeah, but I mean, serious props from like early 90s, well, mid 90s really, when the first one came out, and how the fact that technology has evolved so far, but they managed to capture the look of Woody from the very first film, yet keep other, like, enhance other details, like grass, to be really realistic. And it's incredible how, if you want to nerd out on the technical stuff of movies, please call me, and I'm not gonna drop my number. But yeah. But anyway, Forky, I thought I would hate the concept of like, wow, this character is dumb. But actually, if you watch the movie, it's a very good story. That being said, there does need to be a better ending because they left it too open-ended. in my opinion, which doesn't really mean anything. But they go their separate ways, and it feels like there's gonna be more. And yet, I think they were trying to wrap it up. I don't really know. It felt too open, and it needs a fifth installment, mostly to explain the magic of how the toys come to life. I would like to see that, where to explain.
No.
I know, but I want something to definitively wrap it up. And if you're not gonna do it in 4, then you better do it in 5.
It's a kids' movie, Stuart.
Yeah, it is, and kids are gonna grow up expecting another one. So don't disappoint them.
Okay, I'm gonna say my things on 4. Okay, 4 didn't need 4 because I thought 3 you should have just left it. My problem with 4 definitely, it's like, okay, is it just me, or in 4 did Buzz seem really stupid? He just seemed
4?
like in 4, yeah. He just seemed to be saying stuff that really just. It might just be me, but he didn't seem all that smart like he has been in the past couple movies.
Okay, how about Toy Story 3 where you switched over to Spanish mode?
Well, he switched to Spanish. That's different.
That was the 4th?
Just because he switched languages doesn't mean his IQ left.
No, it was a different Buzz. It was reset, remember? That's the point I'm trying to make now.
Okay.
Way to turn my words
I
against
got it.
me.
It's like, okay, well, that's a reset issue. But still, at the end of the movie, it seemed like he was all there, like he'd previously been.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. In the 4th one, he didn't seem to be all there.
Was that 4 where he started speaking Spanish?
That was 3.
The 3.
Yeah, so I've
But
never
anyway.
seen 4. I can't validate nor chime in on your 4th Toy Story.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know
also,
about that, but I'm beyond it.
To infinity and beyond it.
Allelujas.
I mean, in the 4th one, also, it's like, okay, they leave Woody behind. Wouldn't the little girl be like, "Where's Woody?" And like, we have to look for Woody, and it's like, no, you should have just left it at 3. Like, okay, they've been left with a different kid. Andy leaves. Okay, we have a new kid. Leave it.
Yeah, it really ended well with 3 if you weren't going to make another one. So, I don't know. 4 just doesn't. It's like watching a professional figure skater who's amazing but doesn't quite stick the landing.
Very good comparison. Interesting. I mean, and also it's like the first 3 movies, it's like we've got to get back to Andy or something. Or
Well, that was
Andy is. Well, was he really like we gotta get back to Andy in the 3rd one? Was it?
Yeah, he was like that in all of them, which is why Woody's like transition to this like rogue character in the 4th one felt weird as well, because he's like, oh, I'm just gonna go off and rescue other toys now. Meanwhile, in every movie beforehand, he's had this absolute hard on for Andy. Like he's so weird about it, but in the 4th one, he's just like, oh, okay, bye. Like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's consistent in his like no toy gets left behind sort of motivation, but still, it's like you would think that maybe being with this new kid, then he's gonna have some sort of like same attachment to this kid that he did to Andy.
He did. He was loyal to her, which is why it was so weird, because they like shoehorned him into being with Andy every single time. Then he's like not gonna protest the fact that he's being given away by Andy anymore. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, we found a good home with the girl. The end. Nope, this time he's with the girl and then just pieces out later. whereas the girl could actually benefit from a toy at that age. Although, to be fair, that's a lot of toys in the back of that RV. Like, I remember going on road trips, I didn't have that many toys.
I mean, it's kind of difficult to go on a road trip with, you know, a whole bunch of Legos and Playmobil.
I built a Lego chess set on a road trip once, thank you very much.
Well, I mean, like, okay, but that's like a chess set. When I was growing up, I was into pirates, so we had all sorts of ships. So,
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the person look in the back of a car and it's like, what?
You
Is
just
there
keep
like
it
a
in the box
fleet?
until you need it.
Well, have you looked at like some of these ships? I mean,
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see your point. Oh, man.
Anywho.
Again, like I said, go back and watch, you know, the Buzz Lightyear Star Command movie,
Wait, what's that
which
one?
is actually good. You've seen that one.
I
You
have.
said you've seen that one. But it's Buzz Lightyear, but um it's like the actual, how do I want to put this? It's actually
him as a toy.
no, like okay, you know how Woody he has his own show, Woody's Roundup,
Yeah.
and so he kind of had like his own, for lack of a better word, like mythology and world. Um, Buzz has the same thing, where he's yeah actually Star Command and oh we fight the evil emperors or dude we saw this movie at the public library when you were up here.
What? No.
I thought you said you had seen it.
No.
Okay.
Well, anywho.
What the heck? Okay. Anyways, let me sense something.
Anywho, moving on. Any other interesting film-related discussions?
What has everybody been watching? I guess.
Ooh, me, pick me. No, go ahead, Lane.
So after our last podcast, that night was my first time watching Rosemary's Baby.
Ugh.
It was not what I expected. I was thinking something more along the lines of The Exorcist, where, you know, a little bit more gore, a little bit more, you know, whatever. But it just turns out that it's a bunch of satanic witches gaslighting a woman to have the devil's child, and you don't even get to see the child. There's nothing really awe-inspiring about it. It's like a guy in a, you know, werewolf costume.
Well,
You know, plays the
no, the
devil
kid, they
for
don't show the
a
kid.
nondescript sexual scene that,
Oh, yeah.
and the rest is just dialogue, and it's horrible dialogue at that. I was actually really disappointed because I've heard a lot about Rosemary's Baby, and I thought it would be a lot more, and it wasn't, and I felt very heartbroken about that.
I have also heard a lot about Rosemary's Baby, only in passing, but from your description, it should probably just be called Rosemary then.
Yeah, I was not expecting it to be about like a bunch of satanic witches, which is, you know, a non-PC way of looking at witchcraft because they don't worship Satan. But at the same time, it's like they're gaslighting her throughout the entire movie to give birth to Satan's child, and it's ridiculous.
Okay. Oh, it's a Roman Polanski film. Okay.
Hey, back off. Oh, I remember seeing the movie, and it was just one of those movies that it was. Yeah, it's not gory in that, but it is unsettling. I did find it unsettling. So,
Yeah, I thought it'd be a lot more.
Yeah, no,
I
I
can't
see.
say that it's a bad movie. For the time, it was probably, a big thriller type of film.
Well,
Like, for the time, I could see how that was, a profound movie. But with all the hype that I had received over my entire lifetime about it, I'd say that I was let down.
I
There's
think
more
that
hype
happened.
than what it really is.
I think people do that when, you always hear like, "Oh, this is a great movie," and da 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 da, and you watch it, it's like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times Rosemary Baby was like referred to throughout, film school and everything, and it was like, okay, I,
yeah,
I gotta watch that. I gotta watch that. And then I finally watched it, and it, yeah,
yeah.
It
I don't
just
know.
No,
it was.
I think my expectations were raised way too high by all the hoopla.
was it more like you were expecting more like, yeah, like you said, like Exorcist, which has more visual effects and so forth.
Yeah, like throwing up the
Visual
pea
effects
soup
were,
and
yeah, kid walking backwards on crab walks backwards down the stairs. Yeah,
yeah, or like The Shining, or well, just you knowing that it's about Rosemary's Baby and demonic colors and schemes and everything
Ah,
like that.
yes,
I thought it was
green
gonna
is
be,
such a demonic color. Looking at the cover.
well, it's like that hazy green that you know, like Will o' the Wisp type of green.
Well,
hold on, what is-
first of all, Will o' the Wisps are like blue.
what? Okay, whatever.
It's such a like
Whatever.
mint spearmint green, like Wrigley's gum green.
Wrigley's gum.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, I thought it was gonna be more
Yeah,
like The Exorcist or like
yeah,
Pet
yeah, no,
Cemetery type of, like
yeah,
startling moments that are gonna make you jump out of your seat and
yeah. That's not really a Polanski thing. He's more like psychological
yeah,
than
but you
anything.
don't even get to see Rosemary's Baby.
That's what you're hung upon,
I
is just the
know,
fact that it's
but
called Rose.
but it's like it's one of those things like like when my mom talks about the scary movies of their day, like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for instance, or well, I don't know about that one, but definitely When a Stranger Calls. She said, the scariness of it was like it was off screen, so you had to imagine it. So I mean,
Yeah, but come
but
on.
no, I see your point. I mean, yeah, definitely. Well, yeah. I mean, if it
There
was
was a
hyped up in the
zero
same way that The
baby in
Exorcist is
that
hyped up,
film.
yeah, yeah,
Zero baby. They She goes into labor and they say, "Oh, well, it was dead upon
yeah,
arrival or it didn't make it or something along those lines."
yeah,
They just kind of like tiptoe around the fact that, oh, the baby's dead. And then, like later on, she like walks in on everybody like talking and conversing and like hanging out in this secret room, and it's just like it's bad storytelling. And then there's this black bassinet just hanging out there, and then she like looks into it. She goes, "Oh my god!" You're like, "That's your baby.
yeah,
You caught us in the
yeah.
light. That's yours."
That's yours.
And they make very light of it. It's like they. I mean, even if they did not show the baby, they were just very light and casual about the entire thing, and it's like, well, you guys.
Well, I mean, they are Satanists, so I mean, they got what they want in the movie, which is
This is giving me Wicker Man vibes, and yes, I do mean the
no,
Nick Cage
no,
one.
not
No,
the
the
Nick
Wicker
Cage
Man was
one.
really good.
No, no, not like that.
Not the
No.
bees.
Okay, so let me go on record. Yeah, Rosemary's Baby, not like it's not like outright creepy, but I did find it very unsettling. So I will not watch that movie again. I found it much creepier than The Shining, which I did not think was really that scary. And where was I going with that? And still have not seen the full Nick Cage Wicker Man, but let's be honest.
No, no, no. You can't. You don't get to claim it's not like The Wicker Man if you haven't seen it all the way through.
Dude, no, hold on. Really? You're gonna make that?
Yes, I
Are
am.
you really gonna say that? Seriously?
Them's the
It's
rules.
like,
You better have watched the
where a
whole
movie
thing.
is like some where Nick Cage is just sitting there with a cage around his head, like, not the bees, not the bees.
No, he investigates a schoolhouse. That's all I can really remember as well.
I thought you just watched the what was it, Cinema Sins?
No, I've seen it all the way through. It's just not very memorable.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, you got to remember the Nick Cage. Excuse me. The Nick Cage one is a remake, so
Mm-hmm.
so I'm pretty sure there was something lost in the translation.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Isn't the island just it's just full of women? There are no men, isn't that right?
I thought there was one guy later on.
I mean, the original had Christopher Lee. Let's.
Cavities on a stick.
Who son of mine will be a chocolatier?
Let's see, 1973 was when the original one.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. The framing there in one of the images is exactly how they did it in the Nick Cage one.
Like they didn't have bees in the original. I don't remember reading that.
Oof. Okay, wow, okay. The 1973 Wicker Man with Christopher Lee had a budget of 500,000 British pounds. The box office did a whopping 76,701 US dollars.
So you care to do the
It did very poorly.
why don't you just whatever. You tell me, Susie.
Well, anyway, Joe, what have you been watching?
Let's see. I have to think here. Oh yeah, I did go back and watch The Long Goodbye, which is from 1973, I believe. Let me double check my math. Or not math, but dates. Math, dates, whatever. 1973, okay. It's a 1973 film from the Raymond Chandler, so Philip Marlowe, Raymond Chandler novel, and it's made by Robert Altman, who also did the movie MASH, not the TV show, the movie. But I think I still enjoyed the movie. I think I'm probably enjoyed the movie more this time. Just because I guess there's just a lot more to enjoy, but I don't know. But anyways, it's like when they made the movie in the 70s, they're like, well, this is a character from the 1940s, and now he's in the 70s, so like why don't we just, it's like Rip Van Winkle. What if this character from the 40s kind of wakes up and it's the 70s, and it's like 1940s values dealing with, the 1970s. But it's a great movie. I think it's a funny movie. You actually have Arnold Schwarzenegger in what possibly might be one of his earliest film appearances.
Oh, hold
And,
on. Pause. I just wonder what movie did
yeah.
we watch that had him in it?
Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh my god. That was
It took you that long.
I did not realize
Arnold
that.
Schwarzenegger.
His hair. His hair.
My god. His
I started laughing, and Stuart's like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "Just wait, just wait."
Oh,
Was it when he started talking that you noticed, or when he actually, like, you saw more of his face?
I think it's when he started talking because I saw his face and was like, "Who is that?" But
Yes,
Oh,
Arnold
boy.
Schwarzenegger is supposed to be like, what, this Turkish prince or whatever?
I don't know.
But it's like, okay. That was hilarious. And actually, in The Long Goodbye, his part is funny because he's like supposed to be this intimidating bodyguard, and eventually, without giving too much away, he ends up without his shirt, and he's doing the whole like you see Dwayne Johnson do with his nipples all the time, his man boob dance,
Yes.
hex dance.
I don't think Dwayne Johnson would appreciate them being called man boobs. I have man boobs.
Whatever. Tomato, tomato. Boobs.
Wounds.
Just imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger with Weird Al Yankovic's hair, and
Oh,
that's
man.
what I ended up seeing in Around the World Today.
Actually, you're not very far off.
Yeah.
That is actually a good point. Yeah.
I would say he looks like a very buff Cleopatra with a perm.
Oh god.
That's actually pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah, so we'll let me finish and then we'll get back to that movie.
Okay.
But yeah, Long Goodbye. Check it out. Great movie. Then I also watched this movie called Old Henry. It's a Western with Tim Blake Nelson. And people probably know who Tim Blake Nelson is. They just don't know his name. But he's the short camp guy in Holes.
That's a trip.
The guy who's supposed to be the therapist. The therapist.
Man,
Who turns out not to be a therapist.
I have not thought about Holes in forever.
Well, I
Put
love
his
that
face
movie.
in the middle, it's the rapist.
Catch the semen.
Made on
Is that what the mustache is for?
What a patron.
Oh, love that. But yeah. And I guess also he's the shorter guy of the three in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So,
Oh, him. Yeah.
yeah, that guy. But anyways, Old Henry, it's, it's a small Western that I thought was good. It was, yeah, I enjoyed it. So go watch it. If you're wondering why it's called Old Henry, the movie will explain that. You just gotta watch and not, go over to YouTube and like, why is this name highlighted? Oh, that's why. And yeah. Also helps if, yeah. Anyways, so that's what I've watched. Other than, hours of NCIS and Law and Order. That's like my crack. But let's get back to Around the World in 80 Days. Since Stuart was up here, we went to the public library in town, and we picked out some movies that he hadn't seen. One that I hadn't, some that I hadn't seen, some that neither one of us had seen. So, yeah, Around the World in 80 Days was one of them.
As comedic, and it's a popcorn movie by my definition of that, but it's also very funny, so it's well worth a watch. With Jackie Chan, just his shenanigans.
Yeah, I would rank it up there with like Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Nights.
Yeah. I have not seen those movies in quite a while. Those were fun movies.
Wasn't Shanghai Noon where Jackie Chan is dressed like a Native American?
For a brief time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he marries a Native American, so you know.
Chinese, he's Native American, he's a cowboy, he's dressed as all sorts of stuff.
I'd
All I
like to see
remember
how
is
that
wet-
aged
Wet
well.
shirt don't break.
What did you say about that, Landon?
Wet shirt don't break.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Takes the
Yeah.
shirt off and pees on it to bend the bars.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he peed on it. Okay. Yeah, no. As soon as it's like, oh yeah, he's bending the bars. That's right. Like I said, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but it was an entertaining movie. Both of them were entertaining movies. So
Yeah.
yeah, and actually, yeah, Owen Wilson pops up in Around the World in 80 Days. So it's like, oh, so it's kind of not really a reunion, but sort of a reunion.
With his brother, right?
The hat.
Yeah, with his brother. Yeah.
What's that?
Because the Wilson brothers are the Wright brothers.
Yeah, but I was so surprised. Like, everyone knows Owen Wilson. If you're similar to me and have watched a lot of movies, or seemingly a lot, I've never heard of Owen Wilson's brother. I didn't even know he had a brother.
Really?
Nope.
Honestly, growing up, I was more familiar with Luke Wilson all the way up until Armageddon. And then it's like, oh, Owen Wilson. But then when you watch, who did Royal Tenenbaums and...
Wes Anderson.
Yeah, Wes Anderson, they did a lot of stuff together, Owen and Luke.
Oh, and apparently there's another one
They
named
just had really
Andrew.
Bottle rocket. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I grew up watching Luke Wilson all the time.
What was
Like the
he?
era of Dean Cain and Drew Barrymore.
Andrew Wilson looks like he could have played Thor.
Is that a
Wilson's
compliment?
like the American version of the Skarsgårds.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I
That's an interesting-
dare that comment, and I'll stick to it.
You sticking to it?
Yeah, I'm sticking to the fact that the Wilsons are the original American version of the Skarsgårds.
The Skarsgårds before the Skarsgårds?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, I would say the Skarsgårds became a lot more popular after the Wilsons kind of faded out a little bit.
Oh,
dang.
wow, Andrew Wilson was in a movie that I really liked, called Time Trap. And that's a little hidden gem that I just was reminded of. It's a professor goes missing in a cave and his students come to save him, and the cave is like this little time bubble where like time stops when you're in it, but outside it passes ridiculously fast. And It was really good, so definitely watch The Time Trap.
Time Trap. Okay. Interesting.
I wonder if gravity actually plays or has an impact on time.
Gravity? Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking of like Interstellar, where, time slows down, time speeds up depending on the size of the planet and the gravitational pull that it has.
Well,
And that is an
just
interesting concept to ponder is whether, gravity actually has an impact on time.
your feet apparently age slightly faster than your head, so yes, there would
Well,
definitely
that's
be some
because
sort
your
of.
feet have to carry you around while your head sits at the top and doesn't really have any weight on it.
Ah, but what causes weight?
It's mass plus
And
gravitational pull.
yeah,
Not plus, but yeah, I forget the equation. What is it? It's mass times gravity squared, something like that.
something like that, yeah.
I don't know. I went to film school.
Yeah. I just dabbled in physics for fun.
Oh, it's mass times gravity. It's not gravity squared. Weight equals mass times gravity.
Say that again.
Weight equals mass times gravity.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and the fact that astronauts age slower in space than everyone else stuck on this cesspool of a rock.
Don't you talk about my cesspool like that?
Don't talk about my cesspool like that. Oh, man. Ooh, is it my turn? Do I get to speak for 45 minutes now?
I don't know. Do you get to speak, Landon? Do we let him speak?
I don't think I have 45 minutes. I still gotta tuck those kids in. I still gotta make myself dinner.
You haven't had dinner yet?
That's why I was like, aren't we doing 8? Because I figured that's what we were doing.
Well, I talked to Stuart earlier, and I was like, well, he said like 7, and I said, yeah, I should be available around 7. But the ladies have been out all day. They went to the pool, they went to Dick's, they've been all over the place, and then it was like, oh, what's for dinner? I don't know. What do you want for dinner? Well, we're just gonna eat inside the house, and then it was like, well, it's already like 6 o'clock. I'm just gonna wait. I'll drink my dinner.
Yeah. Alright, well, I'll make it quick. There's 2 things that I'd like to mention. I finished Super Crooks in between last episode and this one on Netflix. I'm not allowed to talk about that?
No.
Okay, well, then I started watching One Punch Man. And
you're not allowed to talk about that either.
I don't get to talk about anime, period. Okay. Well, then
No, I'm kidding. You can talk about whatever you want. Take your time.
It's my podcast, damn it. I'll cancel you guys and just do it myself.
You're gonna Davi us?
No, I would be bored trying to do it by myself. Anyway, so yeah, Super Crooks, I have some critiques on that. I would give it at most an 8 out of 10. I feel like the story was very good. It's the animation that bugged me a little bit, of course, as the technical guy.
Of course.
Who has never animated anything in his life of note. So, yeah, I can't complain about it too much. I know how time-consuming and very well done it can be. Yes, I just spoke like Yoda, apparently. That was not a complete sentence. But it seemed like it was an American-made anime that tried to be Japanese, to try and fit the niche of like, this is an anime, not a cartoon. Um, and so I feel like I don't really know if it was actually truly done in Japanese and then dubbed over, or if it was an American made thing. Because the mouth is where it really bugged me. It was one of those like blah 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 blah,
Oh.
and then they speak sort of thing, and it the lips didn't really match up too well. The story was great, and I don't see a need for a second season, which is nice because then there's room for fresher ideas at Netflix, and I think it was a very very well done story, but it wrapped up nicely. If you want to do a second season, I recommend killing off all the characters except one and having them like transition into another team because there's nothing left for them to do really. So if there's a second season, just let shit hit the fan because it's refreshing when that happens, and it almost happened in this one in the very last episode. I don't want to give too much away because it did have me on edge for a second, and I was like, oh, that happened. Okay, we're getting fresh here. It's not just your standard little plot. It's something new, and then it went back to your standard thing. But no, there's one character in particular. Leave them alive. Just kill off everyone else, and have it transition to a new team like 40 years later or something like that, and we have a throwback to the one character left alive, some new story, but there's no need for a second season really. And then of course I got back into my anime binge and started One Punch Man, and I'd heard a lot about it, mostly just that it's a funny anime where a guy wants to be a superhero for fun, and he's so strong that he can defeat everything with one punch, and so he's really bored being a superhero now. And that was all I really heard about it, and so I was like, okay, I guess I'll put it on my list, but it doesn't really intrigue me right now because superheroes are just always in my face. But One Punch Man is very refreshing. It starts off with Vaccine Man. just yeah, it's a very refreshing thing that it's like, you know, you could have it on in the background, but I'm truly invested in the story. It's so funny. I guess there's only 2 seasons out right now. Season 2 came out in like 2019. So yeah, One Punch Man Season 3 release date. Oh, hey, look at that. Here's some news and a spoiler for myself. I'm going to not read anything except that date. November 25th of this year, 2022, is when we might see a 3rd season. So I'll have it watched by then, hopefully. I'm still definitely in early season 1, but it's very funny because he's just like, guess I'll go fight this guy. And then he shows up and he's like, I'm here to kick your ass because you make bald people look bad. And just stuff like that where it's really funny. So definitely top of my list, recommended. It's very good animation style as well. So it's very, very refreshing. And I love how they almost... It's probably taken from the manga where the writer could have just, I don't know, done it for humor or just couldn't be bothered to come up with names, but it's cities A through Z. Nothing has names. It's just city A through Z. You know, city B has been destroyed this week, but next week they're back and fine. So it's just like, it's great. It's just how, yeah, nothing really matters currently in the show. I'm sure season 2 he'll have like this awakening of whatever, but it's very funny. Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I remember reading the manga. And like the action scenes would take out like a whole spread.
Yeah.
It's just like this one thing, and it's like, okay, this seemed kind of short.
Yep, just one punch. That's it. He's done. Goes
Yeah,
home.
yeah. It's like, I guess that's it. All right. Yeah.
But
he's so frustrated. It's like, why? Why is it so easy?
yeah, he's like, my training regiment was so strict. It only took me 3 years, and everyone's like, what? 3 years? It only took you 3 years? What? He's like, yes, it was such a long time, and I went bald.
Yeah. Also, like the origin of like, I think, yeah, the first time he actually did something super heroic, was just really ridiculous.
Yeah, he fought like a crab, half human, half crab.
Monster who was mad because some ugly-looking kid drew like
Nipples on his
Yeah,
shell.
nipples.
Yep. And he had the largest like butt chin for comedic effect. It was just
The kid did?
yes,
Okay.
the kid had like a butt
Yeah.
chin that was like as big as his head.
Yeah, I remember it was like there's something ugly about that kid. What was it?
Yep. Yeah, but my working theory, they made mention of the superhero academy or whatever that he later joins up, but the fact that the
Yeah.
superhero league was founded around the same time frame that Saitama beat the crab guy, and they specifically mention, oh, some rich guy's kid was in trouble but was saved by a hero, and that's all they've mentioned so far. So I think that it's
Oh.
based off of him saving that kid. And then I've just Googled One Punch Man, and Saitama is named after the city of Saitama, Japan. Because in
Oh.
classic anime fashion, it's always named after something.
Always named after a town.
Yeah. Well, what is it? Dragon Ball Z is famously named after vegetables.
What?
Yeah, or it depends on the race, cause like there's Piccolo, the weird alien. I haven't watched Dragon Ball Z, so any fans out there who are gonna come into the comments and be like, "Oh my God, you don't know what Dragon Ball Z?" Yeah, shut up. No, I haven't watched very much of it, so I will get around to it eventually. But yeah, it's like Piccolo. That race of alien is like named after woodwind instruments. Then you've got like Goku and humans who are like vegetables, I think. Yeah, it's funny name.
Well, now that you mention it's like Vegeta is one character and
Vegetable.
Kakarot or something.
Carrot.
Sounds like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I mean, yeah. Yeah. Really, you didn't watch Dragon Ball Z? Okay.
No, because it was on probably Tsunami. I loved that
Yeah.
back in the day. That was great.
Yeah, it was like,
But I was too young, and my parents were always like, "Oh no, go to bed now. You have middle school." And so I'd be like, "But there's an episode of Naruto on. Can I at least watch that?" And they're like, "Fine, then go to bed." So I just
is that
mostly
what
grew
you
up
sounded
with
like as a kid?
no.
Really? Really? Are you sure? Tsunami, that was great stuff.
It was.
That was fun stuff. But that's all you've watched?
This last week, yeah, I've been getting into stuff, but I just don't have time for movies still. But I'm taking some time off, so I don't know. Maybe Landon, you're coming over this next week. We could watch Lightyear and have our own critique.
That sounds like a horrible time, but sure.
Reliving your.
Well, let's be honest. Stuart picks out some movies. It's like, this is going to be a horrible, horrible experience. But hey, at least we suffered together.
Hey, I mean, that's what they taught you in film school, right? You watch bad movies together.
You take the good, you take the bad. That's the facts of life.
Ba-da-da-da. Whatever
Yeah.
jingle we were going for.
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch 47 Ronin because I'm still on my like Japanese history kick, and it just is like probably not at all accurate, but
You really wanna put
Finch,
yourself
that's
through that.
one. Finch, it's a Tom Hanks movie, which seems like out of left field for him, but he's doing something with a robot. And that looked really interesting to me. That's on my list here. Okay, so Tom Hanks is the character Finch, but there's just something about a robot in the poster. Yeah. Came out November 5th of last year. Oh, it's an Apple TV film too, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. One Apple TV. That's one other platform that I have been watching things on. I have been watching For All Mankind, I believe is the name. It's an Apple TV thing. I may have mentioned it when we were, going strong the last round. But it's basically like a alternate universe where the U.S. lost the space race, and we're kind of just like playing catch up each and every stepping stone, achievement along the way. I've only watched like 3 episodes because it's only just now getting interesting. The first episode I would say is hit or miss. That's where most people are gonna make their decision of like, okay, this is not for me, because it kind of didn't go anywhere, and I watched it and then kind of just put it on the back burner for the longest time, and then was like, I got an hour to kill, guess I'll see if this goes anywhere, and watched the second episode and was like, oh, okay, it's actually good. So I guess there's 3 seasons, but I'm still in the first one, only on episode like 4. So each one's an hour long, so it is a bit tedious, unfortunately, but it's good. It's definitely worth watching if you're interested in space and history and alternative history sort of thing. And just based off of the poster I see, it looks like they do go into space eventually. But so far, it's a lot of just like, on the ground, we suck.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's like, it's showing the true struggles of the space race, which kind of does put it into a good perspective of like how tedious it was for everyone in that time to, contribute your part as a true American.
Well, I remember in science class back in high school, one thing that I still remember is our teacher always made a point of like, the Americans spent like a lot of money trying to figure out some gravity-defying pen, so the ink wouldn't be bothered by gravity. And what do the Russians do? A pencil.
Yep. Yep. I do like that part. Yep.
It's like, wow.
Yeah, I never really understood. Did either of you guys have teachers in like high school who were like, you should never write in pencil, it should always be pen so it's permanent? And you like, what? No. Why are we teaching this? Like, I had a teacher like that, and for a while it was kind of like, yeah, I guess this makes sense, but now I'm like, what? No, because then like, let me erase my mistake and correct it. Like, yeah, if you had a permanent pen taking up space on like paper which has weight in space, And we have to
I
make
think-
sure that we have everything down to the last 1/1000th of a pound to make sure that this thing can fly. Everything must be accounted for. So, like...
Why is... I think most teachers would be concerned making sure their students are awake.
Yeah, that too.
Taking notes second, and then it's like,
Anything else, just you're a good noodle, have a star. Props if you can name that SpongeBob episode.
Wait, I don't remember the name of the episode.
I don't either. Anyway, that just about wraps things up. I'm sure, Landon, you're chewing on your 4th bottle.
Chewing.
Wow. I'm on cans today.
Okay, well, you're part goat, so there you go.
Wait,
I'm
Part go? Oh no. I did not know this.
All right. Yeah, actually, I was thinking about going as like a satyr or a pan for our, what's that holiday in Halloween? Yeah, October.
What's that holiday in Halloween? Yeah, October. Did you just have a stroke? Okay.
I'm sorry, I added that for comedic effect. If we ever do like the clips where it's like, oh, and Land of the Drunken Kids. Oh, what's that Halloween?
Just compile all the goofed moments. That would be every episode to date.
Yeah, the bloopers.
just watch episodes 1 through 42 in order.
Or some of our bloopers that have not made it on the air.
Yeah, I do actually have a few that are unposted episodes, but
If you only had that, if you had got me when we were driving that day in Kearney.
Yeah, how
I
is
had
your
the
duck
stroke.
doing?
What?
How's your duck doing?
I don't know. He ran off.
Well, you might
Oh,
want to go
why?
catch it. On that note, we should probably wrap this up.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna head out. Good night, good luck, and sayonara. You have fun in Halloween that month, October of this year, which, yeah. I think I need to take a shower and just go to bed.
Sounds good. I'll see you guys next week.
Night.
Bye. Bye.